over the past 2 days, we saw some series that could have closed and did not, and some series that did end. So we did our Monday recap watching the Denver Nuggets go take a 3-2. I mean, after being down 3-1, they took a win. The Thunder swept the Suns. Magic took a 3-1 series lead at home against Detroit. But moving on to Tuesday, how about in the second game of Joel Embiid, the 76ers really put it together. This game was a really close game until the fourth quarter when really Boston just started really heavily missing a lot of their shots. 28% from three, 40% from the field. If you guys know the Celtics, they win or die by that three ball. They win or die by Missoula ball in the way that they play. Jaylen Brown was not really hitting his shots, 9 of 23 from the field. Derek White has really struggled in these playoffs so far. Probably been the most disappointing postseason we've seen of him in a long time. I mean, 10 points, 8 points, 11 points, 6 points, and 6 points in the 5 games against Philly so far. Just very underwhelming knowing the player Derek White is, knowing how he had the, beginning of March, he was starting to get into 20 points almost every single night. Really struggling in this series against Philly, which I find very interesting because Philly doesn't have the best perimeter defense, but they're clearly causing enough havoc for him. But when he doesn't really have his offense going, the Celtics offense really becomes stagnant and very isolation-based. And that is a way for Philly to win this game. I mean, 33 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds for Joel Embiid. We've been saying the interior presence that Boston has might come back to bite them when they get to the Eastern Conference or NBA Finals. Vucevic, who they traded for, is really not an impact defender at all. He's good offensively, but not in 15 minutes. He has not been. And then Nemes Keita, 14 rebounds is really good. The rebounding side's good, but the actual interior defense against Joel Embiid, he's not a post defender at all. Embiid really cooks him with his footwork and his playmaking. Was very impressed finally to see Maxey and Embiid just take over a game, though, late in the fourth quarter. I was really waiting for Maxey to just keep shooting a lot of these shots. Love watching Maxey be aggressive on the rebounding side to run out and transition. I think that change up alongside Joel Embiid, having that fast break versus half-court offense is really important. VJ Edgecombe, 10 points, 7 rebounds, played a lot of minutes. Very impressed with him. Paul George, 16, 9, and 7, and 2 steals in the 43 minutes he played. It is very desperate watching 76ers play, though. You can tell that their backs are against the wall, that they're really trying to pull all their strings out to win. I mean, Quentin Grimes playing 24 minutes. They're basically running a 6-man lineup in the first series of the playoffs. But hey, when you're down 3-1 against a team like Boston, you got to pull out all the strings to win. Whether it's VJ playing 40 minutes, Maxey playing 43, Paul George playing 43 to have that forward versatility, or even limiting Dominic Barlow or Andre Drummond's minutes just because you need the consistency in your starting lineup. But was very impressed with the fourth quarter from Philly. Embiid taking over with his mid-range game and his post game. I mean, when healthy, he's such a fun player to watch, such a dominating player. He really could be the best player in this series if he was healthy for the whole thing. It's just, I have a feeling going back to Philly for Game 6, Boston's going to come out with vengeance, get off to a really hot start, hitting their threes, and this series might be over in 6. But good win for Philly. Backs against the wall. They keep fighting in the first round. A very highly anticipated game turned out to be an absolute blowout. The Knicks took down the Hawks in Madison Square Garden Game 5 by 29 points, almost 30 in MSG. CJ McCollum and the entire starting lineup really struggled. Was very impressed, though, with MVP of this game. I got to give it to Karl-Anthony Towns. His efficiency, right? 16 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. Coming off of a triple-double game before this with 20, 10, and 10. Coming off of a 21 and 17 game in Game 3. I think Karl-Anthony Towns has really been the difference maker over the past 2 wins for the New York Knicks. His offense, his playmaking, his on-ball ability. Yeah, right, shaking. Jalen Brunson, though, had an incredible first quarter of this game and first half, really. 39 points, 8 assists to 1 turnover is really the efficiency that we've been needing out of Jalen Brunson. 15 of 23 from the field is incredible. Jose Alvarado coming off the bench being a good spark plug. Deuce McBride off the bench, not really scoring much, but really, no way. Did you actually, Shaken? That Deuce McBride, 20 minutes, gave him a plus 19. I was going to say, right? No way. Mitchell Robinson not missing a shot other than the free throw line. Heartless God, welcome in, by the way. Banquet Me, welcome in to all you brand new Fanatics Live users. Welcome to the Hit Parade Rip Lounge show with me, Hunter. I'm talking NBA playoffs right now, but feel free to interrupt me to rip anything at any point. But really, I do want to talk about this second unit for Atlanta, and I think this is kind of where they're getting a little stagnant now and not being able to find the rhythm. Like Corey Kispert off the bench, not having much of an offensive impact, not as much at least as I wanted him to. Knowing that he was kind of a big reason why they traded Trae Young. Gabe Vincent playing 24 minutes off the bench, shooting 2 of 7 from 3 is really not going to cut it, especially when you're a smaller guard like him. Filling the role of CJ McCollum when he's out, that backcourt really struggles when they're both in at the same time. Kuminga's been playing really solid series. I thought he had a couple good games at home, but really struggled in this one, and really they just couldn't get an offensive rhythm going. You can see only 25 assists, but really the biggest thing, 27 total rebounds to the Knicks, 48 total rebounds. I mean, more shot attempts for Atlanta, but yet a lot more rebounds, a lot more second chance opportunities for the Knicks in this one. They got off to that hot start, and they never really looked back after the first quarter. Big win for the Knicks. They needed this one. Heading back to Atlanta for Game 6. Hello, Owen. Welcome into stream. And last game, the San Antonio Spurs officially beat the Portland Trailblazers in 5 games, even with Wemby missing Game 3 and then coming back in Game 4, kind of still dealing with injuries. De'Aaron Fox put the team on his back. You can see this was an entire team effort, though. I mean, Dylan Harper was 17. Stephon Castle with 15. Fox with 21. Wemby with 17 on 7 shots. Champagnie with 19 points and 7 rebounds. It was just a very impressive win for the Spurs. This first half, they really came out dominated on the glass, dominated on the inside, hitting their open three-pointers. You can see the defensive impact. Portland was not able to shoot the way that they wanted to in this series. Drew Holiday in the last game finishing with 8 points on really bad efficiency. Scoot Henderson had a couple really impressive games. For example, games 1 through 3 were like incredible. 18, 31, 21 points on good efficiency. Then he misses all of his shots in Game 4 and really struggled in Game 5 as well. So tough for Scoot Henderson and the Blazers, but I mean, the Blazers are still young in their rebuild. They traded for Denny, who had by far a better season, I think, than they ever expected him to. Scoot Henderson finally showed some flashes in the playoffs, but they're still really looking to find that number 1 guy for their roster moving forward. I've been saying it. I think Portland's a great fit for Giannis. If Dame comes back healthy next year, I just think it's a great fit. But that's going to be my Tuesday recap. Heading into last night, we saw an amazing battle that we've been seeing for years in AAU between Paolo Banchero and Cade Cunningham, both dropping 45 points in 40-plus minutes last night. This game really came down to a couple three-pointers that were missed late in this game by both teams. Desmond Bane missing a couple late threes in this one. Jalen Suggs never really finding a rhythm. Really only a 6 max 8-man rotation for the Orlando Magic, with guys like Dennis Jenkins falling out of the rotation because Cade needs the ball in his hands so much. I will say, still very disappointed with Jalen Duren's lack of aggression in this one. He had a really big dunk on Wendell Carter late in the fourth quarter, which finally brought some Jalen Duren energy. But 12 points on 6 shot attempts is really not going to cut it. If Duncan Robinson's taking 8, and even Dennis Jenkins in 16 minutes is taking 8 shot attempts, Jalen Duren, you need to be taking more than 6 shot attempts. I don't care what the situation is. Get yourself to the basket. Get yourself to the free throw line. Get Wendell Carter in foul trouble. But this was a big win late in this one. 45 points from both Paolo and Cade. I will say, I know that we harp on Paolo, and if you guys have listened to me talk about basketball this season, I've really been getting at Paolo Banchero for his lack of skill and lack of being a number 1 option. He is still only 23 years old, and if he's dropping 45 points with the lack of actual skill at basketball that I think Paolo still could improve on, with his 3-point shot, his actual dribbling package is just really bad. His shot creation late in games really isn't there yet. I think this Paolo does have a really high ceiling still, and I think by 27 years old, I think we're going to be talking about Paolo as a top 5 to 8 player in all of basketball. If he's put up 45 with the skill level he's at, I do think he has so much room to grow, and I do think that we will see him grow. But the biggest problem with Orlando right now, Franz Wagner dealing with the injury, not being able to play this game, being replaced with Jamal Cain minutes, which, mind you, Jamal Cain played his heart out. I thought he hustled well. He played good defense. It's just he doesn't have the offensive skill that they need next to Paolo, which Franz normally does bring. And I thought that was a big difference maker in the early part of this game when Detroit got off to a big first quarter lead. And Detroit kind of never took their foot off the gas, won by 7 points to only put them down 3-2. Looking to be one of the few teams in NBA history to come back down 3-1. But as a 1-8 matchup, you really don't want to be down 3-2 heading back to Orlando. I think this is the game Detroit needs to win. Obviously, I mean, it's win or go home, but I think if they win this one, I could see them winning in 7 at home. This was a crazy game. I did not expect this to be as high scoring as it was. The defense really wasn't there. Even after Brandon Ingram going down with injury, this game was like 100 to 103, like in the third quarter, which was kind of crazy. But the Cleveland Cavaliers do take down the Toronto Raptors in a fourth quarter showing from James Harden, 23 points on 13 shots. Evan Mobley hitting his three-pointers, even some contested ones on Jakob Poeltl, on Sandro Mamu. I thought Evan Mobley had his best game of the series so far, but I really want to give it to the bench unit of Cleveland. I thought they came in and played really good minutes. Dean Wade brought some very valuable versatility defensively. Dennis Schroeder, I thought he had his biggest impactful game in this series. I was saying Dennis Schroeder isn't really a guy that I think would play well in a series like this due to the size that Toronto has defensively with Jacoby Walter, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, CMB, even Jamal Shed. He plays so much bigger than his size. But Dennis Schroeder had a really, really impactful game in this one. 19 points off the bench, kept getting to the rim, either hitting his threes. That's what you want from Dennis Schroeder. Sam Merrill, 9 points in 23 minutes. I thought his minutes were very impactful. Jalen Tyson with 8 points. But really, I thought Toronto sold this one. I thought Toronto had this game in the bag. I thought they were going to win it going into the fourth quarter. I felt very good about them with their versatility, with their defensive impact, with Jacoby Walter finally hitting his threes, Jamal Shed hitting his threes. I really just thought that Toronto was going to be Toronto was going to pull this game out on the road, but Cleveland stepped up late when they needed to. Dennis Schroeder had a three, obviously led to a little bit of a fight in between. Evan Mobley had a three that gave them a lead in the fourth quarter. But big win for Cleveland, taking a 3-2 series lead at home as Game 6 heads to Toronto. And lastly, the Rockets aren't eliminated yet. They end up defeating the Lakers by 6 points. MVP of this game, you're not going to see it on the stat sheet, but there was a moment where LeBron James hit a layup, was running back down the court, and he shoulder bumped the crap out of Reed Sheppard. Reed Sheppard came down the court, hit a nasty mid-range shot, then stole the ball straight from LeBron and got a dunk. That was a big 4-point swing late in this game just by Reed Sheppard himself. And the Houston Rockets really had great fourth quarter defense, held the Lakers to just 93 points in this one, winning by 6. Austin Reeves came off the bench after coming back from injury management. The first time we've seen him in the playoffs so far. 22 points, very inefficient, but still gets to the free throw line. That is why I love Austin Reeves so much. He always gets in rhythm at the free throw line. If he's struggling from the field or struggling from three, he knows how to get to the rim, knows how to draw contact. He's one of the most exciting white players you could watch in basketball. His shot creation, his IQ is really up there, especially when a guy like Luke Kennard is struggling as much as he is. Even Marcus Smart not having any impact other than shooting the three ball. But I will say, DeAndre Ayton continues to impress me in this series. I know it is Alperen Sengun, so it's not actually like he's going against some A1 defender. But 18 points, really 17 rebounds is what I'm looking at, and only 1 turnover. Love seeing that efficiency from DeAndre Ayton. He needs to continue up with that if he wants to continue being a starting center in basketball. LeBron with 25, 3, and 7. I promise he had more than 7 assist attempts. It's just, unfortunately, the Lakers were not hitting their threes today. 26% from 3, 42% from the field. Whereas the Rockets really won the assist battle is what I'm looking at here. They won the assist battle, and they got a lot of steals. 4 steals for Amen Thompson, 3 for Reed Sheppard, 2 for Alperen Sengun. The turnover differential, the assist differential is really why Houston was able to pull this win out. And their entire starting lineup finally starting to get some rhythm going with no Kevin Durant. Tari Eason shooting the three ball with confidence. Alperen Sengun not forcing shots as many times I think he was earlier in the series. Reed Sheppard finally playing the point guard position with efficiency, right? Not just playing it like a young guy who's still developing, but really starting to play winning basketball. Amen Thompson being very aggressive offensively, took the most amount of shot attempts for the Rockets. That's what I want to see out of Amen when Kevin Durant's not playing. I want to see him aggressive, getting to the basket, hitting that mid-range, trying to get to the free throw line, even though he missed a couple crucial free throws late in this one that I thought the Lakers were going to take advantage of, but The Rockets' defense down the stretch was just too good. 6-point win, as the Rockets are looking to try and be the first team in NBA history to come back from down 3-0 in a playoff series. Can it happen? Kevin Durant was already ruled out game 6, so they'd have to win at home with no KD. But I do think it is possible. Call me crazy. I do think the Rockets have as good of a chance as anyone ever had to come back down 3-0 to win the series. We'll see what happens there. But we do have game 6 tonight between the Knicks and the Hawks. The Hawks with a winner-go-home situation, and the Knicks trying to move on to the second round. Same thing goes for Celtics, 76ers. Sixers back at home looking to try and keep this series going 7. And Minnesota back at home trying to clinch this series against Denver in 6 games. I cannot wait for all 3 of these games. I think the Knicks-Hawks game is going to be a fight. There's no way Atlanta's going down without fighting strong. Whether it's Jalen Johnson, Kuminga, Double O, someone's going to get into something with the Knicks player. I can just feel it happening in Atlanta. Sixers, Celtics, I really expect Boston to come out early in the first quarter and really shooting a lot of threes, hitting a lot of threes. But don't be surprised if Philly continues to make this one a close game if Embiid plays well. And then Denver, Minnesota, I did have my prediction being Denver in 7, and I am sticking with that, even with them going down 3-1. I think with Anthony Edwards being out and Dante DiVincenzo now tearing his Achilles, that Denver has a great chance to come back down 3-1. I think it all depends on tonight's game, though, at 9:30. Because if Minnesota starts off hot, or Ayo Dosunmu catches fire, or Bones Highland catches fire and gets in their bag, or Jaden McDaniels just starts looking at Aaron Gordon and attacking right at him, or Cam Johnson, Minnesota could win this game, but I think Denver's got the best 2 players on the court for the next, couple games, being Jokic and Jamal Murray, and I would bet on them to win tonight and on Saturday if the series does go 7. But that's going to do it for my NBA playoffs discussion. If I'm giving who I'm rooting for, I want Detroit to come back. I don't know if I want to see Orlando move on yet. I've been rooting for Cleveland against Toronto, even though Toronto is a fun team. I still think they're a piece or 2 away. And at this point, I don't want to see LeBron retire, so I can't say I'm rooting for the Lakers to lose, but I think it would be pretty funny if LeBron blew a 3-0 series lead, first player in NBA history, after people were talking about him in this series is why he's the greatest player of all time. I think that would be kind of funny if he blew a 3-0 series lead. But that's going to do it for my NBA discussion, at least playoff discussion for today. Huge credit to Joel Embiid, by the way, before I get out of here. Huge credit to Joel Embiid, dealing with the appendicitis, having surgery, still coming back when he was advised not to come back. 26-10 in the first game against Boston, and then in the win, played more minutes, more points, more assists, more shot attempts. I mean, soldier. He is a soldier. I know that a lot of people don't like him because of his injury history, but you can't tell me he doesn't care at this point, because I think Embiid is out there as much as he can be, and he is still such a good player when he is healthy. So, Sixers, Celtics, I do have Boston winning tonight, but we'll see what ends up happening. And then Knicks, Hawks, my prediction probably is that the Knicks win tonight, although I think it's going to be closer because I think the Hawks are going to play hard, and I do have Denver beating Minnesota. That's going to do it for today.